Hello, we're here to share how amazing Chris and Jen and the whole Thrive community has been for us over all the years. And we're going to talk about some relational skills that have really helped us. So, honey, you want to go first?
I think for me, it was 2014, and the deep awareness of quiet, the simple quiet, the first module, track 1. I was probably aware that I really need that skill down, but
I was aware that you needed that skill down.
okay, so I think because of John, I became aware of it, and I want to really do it. Yet, I wasn't able to really execute that. So when we went 2014, my biggest takeaway is throughout the way that they design the skill or practice that helped me to become aware. Oh my goodness, I really need that skill. Like I am really making others around me unsafe. So that was number one. I mean,
Thank you for acknowledging that. You know, I want to say, like, I was actually thinking, I'm good at quieting. I mean, of course, I can get better, and I noticed that the subtleties of ways I can get better. And then you're really good at just noticing beauty, appreciation in people, in nature. And so we kind of have that together, and we need to learn. And it was validated and strengthened in the training that Chris and Jen and the team put together through Thrive. And that's just that kind of the appreciation, noticing goodness, noticing qualities in people. That's something you're already good at. And so I grew and enhanced in that. And I realized, I can continue to grow in that. So
yeah, and then the second module, the second track, the track 2, we were talking about the 6 big emotion. And I think that was brilliantly designed. Like all we do a week is just being with people and just keep telling the story. I mean, like how simple, elegant, brilliant. So you have to keep doing the same thing over and over again to grow the emotional muscle. So I would say that was our favorite.
That was good. Those stories and how we recover. It's really amazing, simply and brilliantly designed, and we're really grateful for being a part of the Thrive community.
So maybe the last point that we want to make and then say goodbye is that the quiet, the first one, skill, and then noticing the beauty all around us that help us to really be a better parent. I think I would say.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Us quieting has reduced harm.
Yes.
and we can repair with the moments we miss. So thank you so much.
Much blessings to you all. Okay, bye.
Bye.
One time I was at work and it had been a long day. I had 8 meetings back to back, and I was about to head into my 9th meeting of the day. And I had a slight headache, and I really didn't want to do another meeting, solving another problem. And so I got to the meeting room, and I could see on my colleague's face that she looked overwhelmed and she looked tense. And what was normal for the company that we worked in was to just keep pushing, fast execution speed. But because I had been to Thrive Today trainings, I knew about the skill of noticing signs of overwhelm on people's faces. So because I had learned that skill, I said, you know what, I'm feeling kind of stressed out. You look a little bit overwhelmed too. Am I right? She said, yeah. And I said, how about we do this? A weird thing, but I think it would really help our brains. And we just take 5 minutes to just close our eyes and to just calm down and imagine a happy place that we've been to, like a beach or mountains. And she agreed to that. And after the 5 minutes, she said, that was weird, and I feel so much better. And my headache had gotten better, her face looked less tense, and we were able to look at the problem that we had to solve from a place of calm rather than overwhelm.
Hello, Thrive community. I'm Claudia Hendricks, and this is my classroom. I'm in the middle of parent-teachers conferences, and I just wanted to share how the practice of the relational skills have transformed my practice as a teacher here in high school. I teach Spanish to high schoolers, and after learning about how our brain works to be relationally open and to better create attachments and an environment that provides a good setting for learning. I started sharing with my students the skills that have transformed my life and my relationships inside of my home with my students here. And for instance, the first thing that we learn here is that in order to have a learning experience that is fruitful, we need to be glad to be together, creating joy and appreciation. And those are practices that we do every day with the students. And we learn also that we need to have rhythms of quiet and joy. So we practice taking a breather, quieting together. Um, we also respect the students that they have high energy responses or low energy responses. And we also share that our brains can be fueled by joy or by fear. So we check that we are in a state of relationally open before we embrace any lessons. So these are a brief uh, comment about my class here. Again, I'm in the middle of parent teachers conferences and the parents saying, I don't know what you do in this class, but I wish I would have taken a language class with that setting. And the response from the students is that this class feels like a family. So I'm really, really thankful to the Thrive community for have given me the opportunity to access the relational skills, to learn it, to practice through the years, and now to be able to share here with my students at school. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy Brown. I've been involved with Thrive Today for about 10 years, so about half of the time that they have been doing this training. And so before I came to Thrive Training and got involved with them and practicing all these skills, I noticed that I was very high energy, anxious, often angry, frustrated, and irritable. And over time, as I practiced these skills and particularly practiced the skills of quieting, I noticed that people began to say that I was a peaceful presence in their life. And this meant the world to me because it was not something that anyone had ever said before. And so, if you love the idea of being able to quiet your big emotions and to be a peaceful, calm presence for other people, I sure hope that you'll participate in Thrive Training.
The wake-up call was the maturity assessment when I went through that at the beginning of Thrive Track 1. Found out that I had holes in my maturity back at the child and infant level. And I didn't realize that when you're a fully mature child or infant, you're supposed to recover from the 6 big bags in 2 minutes. And like, here I'm an adult, and like, I can't do that. So there was a lot of work I had to do in those early levels, and it helped me understand I was still valued even though I had holes in my maturity. And I also turned from a solution oriented, like fix it, to more feeling relationships with people. I began to notice their facial expressions more, and if they were sad or if they were happy, and try to encourage them more and not just try to fix the problem. So I was more of saying, well, I know you're going, oh, that must be hard, attuning to them versus you can do it, get out there, just go ahead, so.
Really made a difference in his soccer coaching because he was able to reach kids where they were at instead of just kind of saying, kind of dismissing their feelings. He was able to really tune in and help the girls and encourage them. Made a difference in our marriage. We have more joy. We've learned about resting. Neither of us are really resters. We're kind of full speed ahead people. And so being conscious to take time to rest and to do fun things together has really been helpful. The skills have helped me in my work. I'm a mental health therapist. I work with abused and traumatized children is my main focus. And so I noticed really an increased capacity in working with the clients that I do. I don't bring as much of the heaviness of work home with me. I'm able to return to joy from hopeless despair and the tough things I hear about all day. So it's been a huge blessing in that respect.
We're still working on the rest part, trying to schedule that almost instead of going so often, giving us more margin in our lives. That makes a difference.
I've had a recent opportunity to use my relational skills that I've learned from Thrive over the years. Last night at work, I noticed my stomach getting tense and actually my whole body kind of tensing up when I arrived at work, even though I had a smile and greeted my coworker. It was through the process of talking that I expressed to her, I have compassion for you. Because she had said, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. And it's like, I'm not feeling sorry for you, but I do have compassion towards you. I feel tender to you about what you've been going through here at work. And for some reason, that just opened some door, and she began telling me some things about her story. And I noticed that my relational circuits had come back on actually by that time. And I was curious and wondering, how do I interact with her about her story in a way that's life-giving and lets her know I'm glad to be with her? And what I decided was to tell her it's good that we could share this time together, which I ended up telling her. And we ended on a really positive note, like we were friends. And that felt really warm and comforting. Might not be the right word, but it felt really satisfying. And then today, I ran into her in a store that we never run into each other. And it was like we were in the art aisle talking and exchanging ideas and just having fun together. And it was like this joy moment. And I was so, so glad for that. And I have a sense of wonder about that. Like, God, what are you doing here? This is really, really cool. So that's my story of how relational skills have been really beneficial to me.
안녕하세요. 저는 한국에 있는 온누리 교회 이기원 목사라고 합니다. 관계기술 훈련은 저의 개인적인 삶에 굉장히 큰 영향을 미쳤습니다. 관계기술 훈련을 받기 전에는 제가 기쁨을 누리는 것은 익숙했지만 저 혼자만의 쉼과 안식을 누리는 데는 굉장히 연약했습니다. 그런데 이 훈련을 통해서 저는 임마누엘 하나님과 동행하게 되었고 안식을 누리게 되었고 평강을 찾은 이후에 더 기쁘게 다른 사람과의 관계와 사역과 목회에 전념을 할 수 있었습니다. 관계기술 훈련을 받은 이후에 많은 사람들이 저를 보고 많이 변화되었다, 좋아졌다 이런 이야기를 많이 들었고 저는 온유한 보호자가 되기로 결심하였고 또 제가 하는 사역과 성도님들에게 정말 온유한 보호자가 어떻게 될 수 있는지 분명하게 가르치게 될 수 있었습니다. 그리고 저의 사역에 변화가 일어나기 시작했습니다. 스태프들의 변화가 일어나기 시작했습니다. 사역은 특별히 저희가 과거에는 굉장히 사람들이 영적으로 성숙하는 데 어려움을 느꼈고 또 굉장히 자기가 겪고 있는 아픔과 상처에 머물러 있는 시간이 너무나 길어졌고 그리고 서로 싸우기도 하고 서로 사역팀 안에서 어려운 갈등과 문제들이 많이 있었습니다. 그러나 관계기술 훈련을 통해서 우리 사역팀 전체가 하나님 안에서 온유한 보호자가 되기로 결심하였고 또 변화가 이루어지면서 영적 성숙이 이루어졌고 또 갈등이 사라지기 시작했고 모두가 서로를 연약한 자를 돌보듯이 서로가 서로를 돌보면서 사역도 굉장히 큰 변화를 맞이하며 분명한 목적과 방향을 가지고 우리가 회복 사역을 할 수 있게 되었습니다. 관계기술 훈련을 만난 것 그리고 지마일더 박사님과 크리스 목사님을 통해서 귀한 사역을 경험하게 된 것이 제 인생에 있어서 큰 축복이고 또 우리 교회의 또 회복 사역에 굉장히 큰 축복이었습니다. 이 수많은 변화는 바로 하나님께서 우리 한국 교회를 위해서 예비해 주신 것이라고 저는 분명히 믿게 되었고, 저는 이것을 논문을 쓰게 되었습니다. 논문으로 정말 이 회복사역 그리고 관계기술이 얼마나 사람들을 변화시키는지 제 눈으로 확인하고 싶었고, 논문 결과가 너무나 좋게 나와서 하나님께 영광을 돌리고 있습니다. 이 관계기술 훈련이 더 많은 사람들에게 또 정말 연약한 사람들을 살리는 그런 사역이 될 줄 믿습니다.
We are so grateful for the transformation that we have experienced after we have learned the relational skills from Thrive Training. For the past 6 years or so, Kurt and I have experienced so many life changes and so many challenges, both personally and in ministry. And if it hadn't been for the relational skills that we learned and the maturity that we've grown in over the past 11 years, there is no way that we would have survived or been able to live out what God's plan and calling was in our life.
Yeah, we're forever grateful.
My friend Gina and I went to Thrive together, and we learned to quiet together by just looking down and allowing the quietness of not talking but being near each other, and then noticing what's going on inside, and then being with each other again, and having just that sense of relief and entering into the friendship and conversation in a new level. So quieting together was a really important skill for the both of us. Then to that skill, now when we call each other, we'll actually start with a greeting, usually at a high level of energy, and then coming down to quieting together, we'll actually ask, hey, let's spend a minute to quiet together. In addition to that, we both really like the skill of sharing appreciation. And we'll just look around. It comes pretty spontaneously now, but at first we would even just go through something about my day, something about someone else, something about myself that I appreciate today, something about God that I appreciate, and then asking God to show us what he appreciates about us. And so that appreciation skill has really been beneficial in my relationship with Gina and with others, and just personally. And then the third story I want to share is about the skill number 10 is, I believe, the God sight skill. And that has been so nice for my friend and I, Gina and I, too. She made up the idea of calling it a Jesus minute. And so we'll be talking, and then we'll say, hey, let's have a Jesus minute. Maybe we will have been talking for 45 minutes, and then we'll say, hey, let's have a Jesus minute, and we'll just quiet and listen to him. Jesus, we want to hear from you and knows what you're thinking, what you're saying and doing. And then so for that minute, we'll be quiet together. I mean, actually, we even use a timer. So, and then it takes us about 5 minutes to unpack what we experienced in that minute. And our hearts are so encouraged, and the minute of listening to Jesus has amplified from our sharing together. And these skills have been the best in my personal relationships, in my own life, and in my small groups.
We are Pam and Data Bryan, and our story is that we started in 2012 by going to Peoria, Illinois for Thrive Training. We were absolutely sure that we were going there to help the folks in our church, in our inner city church, who needed some direction and some information, and we were going to get it for them. The very first day we realized this was for us. God wanted us to be there for our own transformation.
And as a result of us practicing the skills and working together, God began to bring healing to our marriage relationship that we didn't even realize fully that we needed. It began to, people within our sphere of influence began to say to us, you know, there's something different about the two of you. We can see a difference in your marriage. Our children began to say things like that to us, and began to respond to us in ways that were really joyful, and we found joy in responding to them. And we absolutely know that God led us to thrive, to learn these relational skills and grow together in them. And we are so grateful to God for what he has done over this time.
So I'm Toni and Matt Daniels, and we are reminiscing about a Thrive story for us. When we started Thrive training eons ago, I honestly, when I closed my eyes and pictured his face, I saw nothing. I saw someone absent, someone in their phone or distracted, and I didn't really feel seen. And how did you see me when you closed your eyes?
Yeah, I think that when I closed my eyes, probably my own disappointment I had with myself, I just kind of put onto her. And so I thought, yeah, I see a person who's just always disappointed with me, and I'm never enough.
Wow. So we started to enjoy smiles even before we went to our first Thrive training in 2000
something
way
9,
back when 9
10.
And within a month, I think it was, we started to realize that we had those scripts. I started to realize that, oh my goodness, I really thought he was absent, but now he's looking at me and he would think she's disappointed, but yet I wasn't disappointed. And so the joy smile started eroding those old scripts, revealing them, and then helping us really see that the other person was present and there for us. And really kind of helped us, was fundamental in helping us start to grow a secure attachment with each other in our marriage.
Yeah, give a huge base of safety as we started. Too often we want to think like, oh, I've got to have some deep spiritual change, renewal in order to begin to see things differently, as opposed to adopting some practices that were simple, that brought up stuff when you did them, like joy smiles and practicing of other skills, and hard to do because when you practice appreciation, it gives you access to sadness. Yeah. But doing these practices in addition with whatever other spiritual practices we had over the years actually changed things inside and created a lot of space and a lot of safety.
We also had a daughter who really struggled regulating her emotions, and we weren't sure how to handle that, and none of the books helped. And so year after year, going back to Thrive training and having precious mentors tell us, don't underestimate the power of joy, and you're doing everything right, just keep doing it. It's just going to take time, was instrumental in helping our children grow healthy, secure attachment to us. And so now we have, a 32-year-old, 22-year-old, and a 13 and 12, and they've been raised really the last 15 years, I guess. Well, yeah, 15 years of their life with these principles. And so we are seeing the fruit in their lives as well. So we're super thankful for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm Wendy from Atlanta, and my life has been transformed from having cultivated the brain relational skills imparted by Thrive today. I've seen significant positive changes in the quality of my personal relationships, especially with my son. I also have increased capacity to take on more in life within the context of a balanced rhythm of joy and peace. And these skills have built into me a better ability to suffer well, which means acting like myself during times of high emotion. I'm now able to return to joy from big emotions because my brain has been rewired. I have built new neural pathways back to joy from the big emotions of sadness, fear, anger, disgust, hopeless despair, and shame. I remember how satisfied I felt when I returned to joy from hopeless despair. It was a time that I came home from a very long road trip and I was ready to go to bed. I was exhausted. But I walked into the house to find a flood. And I just remember I slumped in defeat. My shoulders slumped forward, my head slumped forward, my gaze went to the floor, my stomach sunk, and I felt hopeless despair. I felt like I can't do this. I'm too tired. I don't have the resources to handle this. But I was able to notice my hopeless despair and what I was feeling in my body, and that prompted me to take a very deep breath. And to ask Jesus, Jesus, would you show me where you are right now? And I sensed him standing in the water with his leather sandals covered in water up to his ankles. I saw in his face that he was sharing my hopeless despair with me, and I felt validated by him. And then I noticed something changed in his face, and he looked like he just was not concerned at all. In fact, he looked slightly amused, because this is just a day in the life for him. It's just no big deal for him to handle a flood. So as I became aware of his presence with me and his ability to get me through this, and that it's no big deal for him, my countenance lifted, and my shoulders lifted, my head lifted, my stomach settled, and I felt content and peaceful. And I returned to joy from hopeless despair. I was able to journey through the cleanup and repair with awareness of him glad to be with me in it. And that's just one example of one skill, the ability to return to joy quickly from an emotion, in this case, hopeless despair, that I've cultivated with so many other life-changing skills, like noticing when I or someone else needs to just take a breather, building joy through practiced intentional appreciation, and finding Jesus through the Emmanuel approach. And these are just a few, but there's so many more. And I'm so grateful for Thrive Today's life-changing training.
Hi, my name is Barbara Moon. I live in Atlanta, Georgia area, and I'm so proud to say that I was at the second Thrive in 2003. And it's been a huge part of my life ever since. For one reason or another, I've attended Thrive 6 times total. I'm a big fan and a supporter. The skills have impacted my life as I've learned to walk in joy and quiet and the Emmanuel lifestyle. Seeing as God sees is a skill that I try to use every day, especially when something or someone upsetting happens. I wish everyone I know could attend Thrive. I'm so glad that now there are online ways to get the skills.
For me, relational skills, one of the areas that's most impacted me is just the whole concept of building our capacity to stay relational in big emotions and intense situations. I'd often have experiences in which, the intensity level would be pretty high. And then after it was over, I would look back and think, wow, I would not have been able to handle this situation the way I did had I not had this training, like 5 years ago, for example. And one specific example is I was in a conflict resolution between 2 men both of whom I knew well. And it was very emotional. There's a lot of hurt feelings. And I was definitely a peaceful, non-anxious presence in the middle, and then helped them work this through in a way that was respectful to both. And at the end of it, I thought, wow, this skill really pays off.
Before Thrive, I didn't even know I was missing life skills. By participating in the Thrive events, I have been able to build upon what they introduced so that life is amazingly good now with those life skills. And I'll get to keep working on them till I go home to be with Jesus.